Joining us right now to react, former Deputy Chief of Staff to President George W. Bush, Fox News contributor Karl Rove. Karl, good to see you. Thanks for joining us. Give us your reaction to the president's tariff plan.
I've got a bad reaction to it. I thought the issue here was China and China's dumping of steel. So we're going to get at China by hurting our allies and neighbors, Mexico and Canada. This ought to be more narrowly targeted. This ought to be focused on the abuse. The idea that the president has, I think, at the heart of this is that we are a nation that gets screwed by our trading partners unless they buy more from us than we buy from them. And even then, he's not willing to acknowledge when they buy more from us than we buy from them. Canada, we have a positive trade balance. We buy more goods from Canada than they buy from us, but they buy a heck of a lot more services from us than we buy from them. So we have a net positive balance with Canada, and yet somehow or another, the president can't get that, can't accept that fact and can't move forward for it. So if the rule is that the United States is getting screwed if it doesn't, if a country doesn't buy more from us than we buy from them, then Australia and Singapore and Panama and Colombia and the United Kingdom and the Netherlands, these are all getting screwed by us because those countries all buy more from us than we buy from them.
It's a similar point that you made earlier, Dagan, that it doesn't matter if we have a trade deficit. That's not what's necessarily most important. What's more important is economic growth.
Right, and if it goes to, Karl, one of the reasons that President Trump won the White House is because he reached out to those people who have been hurt by NAFTA. Places like Brookneal, Virginia, where I grew up, where those jobs disappeared, textile jobs, furniture manufacturing, those jobs went away, and I understand that. But a steel tariff, it helps the few, and I mean steel workers, who, by the way, are union members and very often Democrats funneling money into Democratic campaigns, and it hurts the many. It hurts those very manufacturing workers in, say, autos who voted for him. That's what I don't understand. Again, it's going to destroy potentially more jobs than it creates. President Bush learned that lesson in 2002, right?
Tell me about that. Look, they're roughly between 140,000 to 160,000 people in the steel industry, but there's 6.5 million people in the industries that use steel. And look, are we going to make Boeing Boeing airplanes more competitive on the world market by increasing the cost of steel by 25% and aluminum by 10%? No, we're not. We're going to lose out market share to the Airbus because they won't be subject to that. So, look, we learned this, unfortunately, in the Bush years, and we had a much more narrowly targeted, we were aimed at China. We were aimed at we exempted Canada and Mexico, for example, in 2002 when we put in place temporary tariffs on rolled steel and other steel. But within a year, we had lost 200,000 jobs in the steel fabricating business, while adding just a couple of thousand jobs in the steel business itself.
You get any sense?
It ended up losing the case in the international trading
in the WTO,
right? WTO to the Europeans who were going to extract a huge price in American jobs by retaliating.
Yeah, you get any sense, sorry to interrupt you, Karl, but you get any sense that the president may be moderating his position a little bit on this? Because that's the kind of the debate we've been having, or everybody's been having this morning. On the one hand, his record, 30-plus years, is what it is. I mean, he's been very, very clear on where he stands on these trade issues. On the other hand, since late morning yesterday, the stock market's been kind of bouncing back on this idea that, either a Paul Ryan or a Gary Cohn or maybe even the president himself with his comments on NAFTA may be able to, talk himself out of this and, to your point, put in some exemptions for Canada or Mexico, that maybe it's a more moderate position. You think he's moving at all? Or?
Maybe, but look, here's the deal. When he made think about yesterday, he said, remember, these tariffs are based on what's called a national security exemption, Section 232 of the law.
Right.
And yesterday he said yesterday, I'm willing to give on Canada and Mexico if they give on NAFTA. Well, what he has done is given them the evidence that if we do have to go before a trade tribunal like the WTO, they can say the president said it was for national security, but then he admitted that he was really using this just as leverage to get a better trade deal, and that's going to undermine the case at the WTO. Look, we file typically, like in 2015, there were 115 trade actions that we filed against other countries, and we won virtually every one of them. If we've got a problem, the president, and we do have a problem with China, the president ought to use those tools to go after China in a targeted way, not to hurt American consumers and our friends at the same time by using such a broad brushstroke. And if he is using this just as a negotiating tool for NAFTA, then he is, by telling people that and being public on the record, he's undermined his case if this goes to the WTO.
Well, this may very well be the much bigger story here. We are in the middle of what seems to be a contentious fight over NAFTA. 2 weeks ago, Justin Trudeau came out and said, I'm willing to walk. And we hadn't heard that kind of pushback from the president from Canada on the NAFTA deal. So maybe, you know, he's trying to scare people out of their negotiating positions on NAFTA with this. We'll see about that.
Maybe.
But let me ask you.
But let's step back for one more thing on NAFTA quickly. What bad timing. Mexico has a huge election coming up this spring, late this spring. And the president's actions against Mexico are emboldening the most left-wing, virulently anti-American candidate for the presidency of Mexico. He's now leading in the polls. Yeah. So the president, by attacking Mexico, is putting in a supporter of Chavez on our south border.
Yeah, it's a very good point.
It ain't a smart move.
It's a very good point.